Hello everyone, this is part 24 of What If Naruto was exiled after he brought Sasuke back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The axe kick shattered a portion of the ground and soon it rolled aside as Orochimaru tried to take her head off with grass cutter. Each Sannin was bruised and bleeding a bit. Jiraiya was panting as he held his side where the damned blade of the snake Sannin had scrapped over his ribs after a series of attacks. "You're not going to win, team," Jiraiya said. "You can't stop me, fool. You and the flat chest will and your precious village will burn," Orochimaru said, spitting out a mouthful of blood. In the distance behind him the boss summons were still going at it and showed no sign of fatigue. "Suna fell first and the leaf is next. Over my body," Suna said and seemed revitalized as her fist connected with his ribs. Orochimaru sailed a distance backwards before going to one knee. Grass cutter spit into the ground, keeping him upright as he coughed up blood. "Damn woman and her strength," Orochimaru cursed. "I should have kept Sasuke or Sakura at my side. But they have their tasks in all this. I will hold on. I must." Orochimaru sank into the earth, avoiding a follow-up blow, and reappeared behind Tsunade. The slug Sannin sensed him and performed a backwards flip heel kick, catching him on the jaw and knocking him into the air. "Oh yeah," Jiraiya yelled as he was descending from a chakra-enhanced leap. In his hands was a Rasengan and he smiled. "Jiraiya's here," the Toad Sannin yelled as he slammed the Rasengan into Orochimaru's spine. "Tag team," Jiraiya said. "You are out of here." Hinata spun about and saw Nami in trouble. She used a technique she had learned from Jakela more than a year ago. Focusing her chakra, she vanished and reappeared next to Nami. Grabbing her, she shimmered away again and the corner she'd been trapped in erupted into rubble. Nami and Hinata reappeared. "Whoa," the purple-haired archer said. "What was that?" Hinata smiled, her eyes bleeding to black. "Line of sight teleportation. Better than Shushin and less chakra drain." She looked down at the triad. "You go and get a safe place to fire from, I'll deal with them." "But, go. I can deal with them. Vengeance is on my side," Hinata said, and Nami saw the transformation for the first time. Hinata's skin became chalk white, her eyes blacker than night. Go. Nami leapt away. She was up on a roof when she saw a flash of pink. She recognized Iruka and saw he was in bad shape. "Oh no you don't, you pink bee," Nami thought, arming her bow and sending an arrow flying. Sakura was in a good mood. She would soon kill Iruka and add his body to her experiments. Kabuto-sama's notes were so helpful, and learning at the side of Orochimaru, she smiled at the thoughts of what she learned at the side of the Sannin since defecting from the Leaf Village. She was 2 arm lengths away from Iruka when the arrow slammed into the ground between her legs, tripping her up. She slammed into the ground hard, her knife skidding away. With a growl, Sakura sat up and tore the arrow from the ground before snapping it in half. She looked around wildly for who dared to take a shot at her, her gaze resting on a figure atop a nearby roof. "Oh look, Iruka, another toy for me. Tell me, are you one of the QB Brat's special people too?" Sakura asked in a sickening sweet voice as she regained her feet. Nami armed another arrow and looked at the pink-haired girl that was covered with strange marks all over her face and arms that she could see. "I am mate to his brother," Nami finally said. "You once held a precious position, but no longer." Sakura laughed. "Precious? That Dobe was nothing. He is insignificant to the power Lord Orochimaru has given to me. My marauders are works of art, and once I have more time they shall become even stronger," Sakura said, pulling a short sword out from her cloak. "You and Iruka here will be the first new foot soldiers when I am done," Sakura said as she leapt into the air. Nami released an arrow, but Sakura batted it aside with her sword that seemed to glow with blue fire. "You are nothing," Sakura yelled as she descended. Nami fired 3 more arrows, and Sakura smacked him aside as well. She landed and Nami dodged aside, the sword showing flames. "Flame tongue will scorch your but don't worry pretty, I'll make it all better," Sakura said, going on the attack and keeping it close, not allowing Nami a chance to arm another arrow and get in a good shot. Across the rooftops the pair fought. Below, Iruka went to his knees fully before sinking to the ground, his body no longer able to fight. Stop her, Nami. Don't make Naruto fight her. Iruka thought before he was engulfed by darkness. Hinata leapt into the air and her spinning attack surprised the triad, but what she did next confused them totally. Shadow Star. Suddenly there were 5 Hinatas in a pentagram formation, the triad in the middle. You are in the range of my divination. Your souls are stained with the blood of the innocent. All 5 Hinatas said at once. Prepare to be judged in the flames of hell. The 5 Hinatas were swallowed by pillars of fire. Hellfire, ATRIGRAMS, 320 palms, Judgment Day. 5 blurs crisscrossed and the triad were under an assault never seen before in Konoha's history. When Hinata stopped and the 4 others dissolved, the 3 who were triad were S before their B hit the ground. Guilty, Hinata said, her gaze sweeping over the battle. Everyone seemed to be holding their own against the marauders. Her penance powered Byakugan scanning for those who needed her aid, and hopefully a glimpse of Naruto. It was then her eyes caught a flash of pink. Konoha Art of War, Hail of Spears. Jiraiya finished the jutsu and Orochimaru managed to replace himself with a mud clone before the spears rained from the sky and turned the clone into a pincushion. Sadly he reappeared in a tree, and soon it was below. Using her vast strength she uprooted the tree and shook him from it before using the tree to smack Manda into the air. Bunta, oil. Jiraiya yelled. The toad boss spit a wad of oil and it connected with the airborne snake boss. Jiraiya finished his fireball and sent it up as well. Manda didn't have a chance to dodge and was engulfed in flames, the giant snake body hitting the ground hard and sending shockwaves all across Konoha. Orochimaru struck, grass cutter piercing Tsunade's shoulder. She'd seen movement and had managed to turn, otherwise the blade would have LD her chest and her heart. AHHHHHHHH. She screamed as Orochimaru twisted the blade. Jiraiya was there with a dropkick and knocked the snake Sannin away and forcing him to release his sword. Tsunade on her knees held the blade from her shoulder and glaring at her former teammate snapped the legendary blade in half, tossing it aside. You. Naruto snarled seeing Danzo there. What surprised him was the mechadisciple he was holding. Itindigan chuckled. What can I say, I knew he would need one to face you fairly. Mika and Naruto stepped back as Danzo walked closer. The whole battle had just changed with the arrival of the former councilman of the Leaf. Where did you get that? Naruto asked. Itindigan laughed. I made it, boy. I had a lot of time in the tombs. Kami didn't know what she was doing keeping me there all those centuries. Enough talk. K the QB like you promised Lord Orochimaru. Danzo spat. I don't follow your pedophile's orders, human. Itin said. But he saw the ghostly form of QB floating at the edge of the battle. A smile overcame the giant's face. Actually, I think I have a better idea. With a speed that only the Hiraishin could have matched, Itindigan grabbed Naruto around the N, and then the impossible, his glowing blue hand reached out and grabbed the QB's spirit. I think it's time for you to retire, QB. He said, and he chanted in a language neither human nor demon could understand. Mika was going to intervene, but Danzo blocked his path. The two mechadisciples clashed together. Mika looked over the crossed blades, his draconian eyes narrowing. First you will witness the end of the QB, then you will see the end of Konohagakure. All is going as Lord Orochimaru planned. Bulls. Mika said as his blade spun. He noticed the difference with wielding the mechadisciple over Stormbringer. There is no weight, he thought. He also could focus his wind into the blade easier and that surprised him. Left, right, overhand. The strike met with a dazzling display of crackling energy. Danzo kept himself between Mika and what was happening to Naruto and it was pissing the young Hanyu off. He used his left arm to block several of Danzo's attacks. The old warhorse is good, Mika thought. But when did he learn how to use a blade like this? Is his SKS natural? Mika fainted a few times and he noticed that they were similar to the giants. Memory jutsus. He's copied the memories. Like Master Kwai did with me when I was younger so I could learn his kung fu style quicker, and by the time it wore off I was secure enough. Let's see how good Danzo is. Mika attacked with a flurry of blows and spin attacks. Danzo weathered them, backing up several times, uncertain how to deal with them. Behind Danzo, Itindigan finished his chant and slammed the QB's Shade and Naruto together. The two screams became one and a blast of power sent Itindigan flying, dropping Naruto to the ground. Itindigan slammed into Danzo, both men rolling, Micah paid them no mind and raced towards Naruto, fear pushing his steps faster. Sliding across the ground on his knees, he rolled his brother over, fear that he was haunting his thoughts. Naruto. Itachi dodged and weaved Sasuke's attacks. He didn't have a weapon that could physically stop that strange blade his brother had stolen from Naruto. With a one-hand seal he spit a fireball at his brother who was forced to sidestep. As he did, Itachi struck. A palm strike to the wrist forced Sasuke to drop the blade, it deactivated before it hit the ground. Itachi wasted no time as he peppered Sasuke with a series of blows to the kidneys and an uppercut strike that knocked him into the air. Itachi leapt planning on hitting him again, but his younger brother recovered and with a snarl backhanded Itachi hard at the same time the elder Uchiha kicked him, the two rocketed backwards from one another, sliding across the dirt, their Sharingan eyes locking and Itachi for 1 second thought of using the Mangekyo and ending this. His hesitation was all Sasuke needed to go on the attack, using his curse seal he appeared before Itachi and rammed the Chidori into his chest. Su Mare. Sasuke spat in his brother's face as he dug the assassination jutsu deeper into his brother's chest. Itachi looked down in shock. How? He coughed up blood as he slid off his brother's hand, the life slipping from his eyes before he hit the ground. Sasuke began to cackle, around him the battle continued. The Mangekyo Sharingan is now mine. Sasuke continued to laugh, unaware his eyes showed no change. Mindscape. Naruto felt like his body was on fire. He didn't understand what was happening, but the giant tomb guardian had done something. He opened his eyes to see that he was in the familiar venue of his mind. The pipes were golden, the ground was covered in solid marble and it felt comfortable here. What the hell? He muttered looking at the chases. He realized the pipes were his chakra pathways, beneath them were thinner ones that were nearly see-through. What are those? Your Vunla paths, a voice said and Naruto spun about. Q? He asked. The shade was solid, but looked washed out. I don't have much time, Kit. The Undertaker has begun a chain of events that will rock the Underverse. What? Don't talk, listen. My spirit will go before Kami. You'll be on your own, Kit. Naruto shook his head from side to side trying to deny what he was hearing. Kami is not in control. There are things that are happening, forces at work in her court that are manipulating events, and keeping her blind. Kyuubi said his body seemed to become paler. Itindigan has plans for you and Micah. Resist him, remember what I have taught you over the years, help you it can. Trust your mate, and your heart. Wait, I can't. Naruto worked the words out past the lump in his tea. You can, Kit. I know you can. You're stronger than I ever was. You have a good and kind heart, with a huge capacity to love and to care. Lead the Kitsunes well, smack Shippo a few times for me. But seek out Kwai Chang Kane on his mountain. He'll get you and Micah back to the Underverse. You both are needed there. It is becoming unbalanced. Big damn heroes. Save this worthless village that won't accept you. Then return to the Underverse, take your mate, be happy. Kyuubi faded even more and Naruto could see through him once more. I'll miss you, fuzzball. Naruto said, tears slipping from his eyes. And you, Kit. I will always be watching over you. Get the Draconian his own Mechadisciple. I was wrong before, my foresight was blocked, and Naruto, know that I am proud of you. Take care, my heir, my son. And with that the Kyuubi no Kitsune passed beyond and entered Kami's court. Naruto dropped to his knees. Not another. He looked up. You won't take any more from me, you hear me? Itindigan stood over the boy's body and smirked. He looked at the Draconian and drew his blade. Just one more piece of business then. Snap hiss, the black energy blade sprang to life once again. Micah looked up at him and standing pulled the one he'd taken and it came to life, its silver hue shining in the dimness of the battle. Use your anger. It is the only way you will beat me. Itin said and Micah attacked, the left and right slashes driving the bigger man back. Danzo approached the body of the Kyuubi brat and he held his own blade in a reverse grip and was planning on plunging it into Naruto's body, ending his life when the blue eyes snapped open, the cornea blood red. Naruto rolled away and kicked up to his feet, his purple Mechadisciple leaping to his hand and snapping on with a violent hiss. Danzo. He snarled. I am Naruto Uzumaki Kazama Namikaze, the former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and heir to the Kyuubi TLE. Exiled Konoha Nin, holder of the Fox contract. blood brother to the wind dragon, and mate to the spirit of vengeance. You killed my mother, prepare to s. Danzo barely got his own blade up to defend, and the flurry of attacks had him backing up, some slipped through his defenses, his armor being SD to pieces as Naruto kept the attack going. Micah with a burst of wind flipped over Itten and SD him across the back, the giant's body armor being peeled off him. Ittendigan couldn't believe it as he was on the defensive. The boy has changed, how? My master didn't mention this as a possibility. Micah used a wind whip to ensnare the giant's legs and with a wind ball knocked him over. I might not have the ability to use the Vunla, but I am the wind dragon, like my mother and grandfather before me. Ittendigan looked at him in shock. You didn't think my mother never told me of my heritage. She sealed her memories in the back of my mind. And you unlocked the rest by destroying Stormbringer. Micah said as Itten got to his feet. So you know who you are fully. It will be that much greater to break you. Then, your mate won't survive. What? Itten deactivated his mechadisciple and gestured with the hilt. Micah took a moment and looked over his shoulder to see Nami fighting Sakura. No. Nami found her bow knocked away and she turned, but the pink-haired bee had vanished, which surprised her. She felt something and her world exploded in pain. Sakura rested her chin on Nami's shoulder. Surrender to death pretty. Your body will find new uses. Sakura said, twisting the knives she'd rammed into Nami's back, causing the purple-haired girl to spasm and cough up blood. Micah, I'm sorry. Nami thought as Sakura held the blades from her and moved away to find fresh prey. Micah seemed to blur as he skidded to his knees for the second time and he cradled Nami. Come on, stay with me. He pleaded. He tried some of the medical jutsu he knew, but the wounds weren't closing. Come on Pamujit beloved. Stay with me. Micah pleaded. Nami reached up weakly, her hand touching his F-covered cheek. Shush. Cough, it's okay. Cough. I at least, cough, had you. Micah's eyes widened and he pushed more chakra into the healing jutsu. No. You can't leave me. Cough, find another love. Cough, make her, cough, happy. Cough, muja ui. I love you, and with that the light left Nami's eyes. The yell became a roar and around and the battle stopped. Ittendigan smiled. He could feel the rage coming off the draconian. Now the push. He thought, appearing behind the mourning Hanyu. She never should have been here. He said, this village will never accept her for being your mate. All in all, it is your fault she is S. Micah turned, his dragon eyes glaring at Ittendigan, a rage burning so deep it heated the surrounding air. He growled. It was a deep chest rumbling growl. The air around him seemed supercharged. It crackled with lightning and the wind howled. Nearby ninja were thrown from their feet. Ittendigan began to worry. Micah let out another roar and the Tomb Guardian saw the scales cover his whole face. Impossible, he's too young to change. Itten thought. Before him he heard the yell of clothes as Micah began a transformation. His N elongated, wings sprouted from his back along with a tail. His pants L and his torso showed to be covered with silver scales. His hands ended in sharp black claws. Spines formed along his spine as his face elongated and fangs filled his mouth. Kami, help us. Itten muttered in shock. Before him was a young silver dragon. From muzzle to tip of the tail was a good 15 feet. The wings spread out and Micah roared again. Itten saw the head swing towards him and he barely got his mechadisciple up in time to block the blast of lightning the dragon spat at him. This was not planned. He thought as a second blast of dragon's breath knocked him backwards, his arms going numb from the impact. Hinata atop the roof saw Nami fall, and Sakura rush away. She felt tears slide down her cheek as Micah reached Nami's side and his cry of despair. Her eyes bled to black and she sought out the pink-haired bee. I should have killed her the first time. She regretted it now, and knew that Nami's death was partially her fault. Her sharp eyes found her. Iruka-sensei. She vanished in a blast of hellfire and appeared before Sakura, who was raising her knife to finish off the unconscious Iruka. I don't think so. Hinata's guttural voice said as she kicked Sakura away. The pink-haired servant of Orochimaru looked to see who dared to interrupt her this time. Oh, look, They Kyuubi's whore has come out to s. Sakura sneered. She pulled a different knife. I had this one made special, just for you. You see, Lord Orochimaru has many ancient texts in his possession, and I was able to find this scroll how to make a blade that could kill immortals. Hinata's eyes locked on the blade. Mortal edge. Or in this case, a weak imitation. You've heard of it. Then know I am the usher of your death be. Sakura lunged and Hinata spun, a spinning kick hitting the pink-haired Nukenin in the chest and knocking her back. I am far from helpless Haruno. And you will pay for King Nami, and all your other crimes. The two clashed, Hinata using a kunai to block the strange black and red blade. They were moving fast, blurs to those that were watching. I will kill you this time B. Sakura snarled. And your soul will be shredded beyond repair, traitor. Hinata snapped back and with her empty left hand struck Sakura hard in the sternum. The pink-haired kunoiki dropped to her knees gasping for breath, the blade hit the ground and vanished in a puff of smoke. Hinata grabbed Sakura by the front of her armor and lifted her up till they were face to face. Your soul is stained with the blood of the innocent. You have been weighed, you have been measured, and Sakura, you have been found guilty. Hinata's black Byakugan eyes blazed. Look into my eyes. Penance stare. Sakura looked into her eyes still gasping for breath. She looked into the black orbs and began screaming. She screamed, and then to the shock of Hinata began to laugh hysterically. Sakura was laughing, and just as suddenly she stopped, her yellow eyes focusing on Hinata's black. That don't work no more whore. She drilled Hinata with a headbutt. No soul for you to play with, and there are 3 minds here to keep me aware of your sick little games. She connected with right cross and a knee to Hinata's stomach, doubling her over. And as you so like to say, vengeance is mine B. A double knee lift to Hinata's jaw sent her toppling backwards and hitting the ground hard. I will enjoy presenting your corpse to Lord Orochimaru. He has such plans for the Hyuga eyes. But yours are different, I wonder what we could do with yours Kyuubi whore. Sakura kicked her hard in the stomach and sent her skidding across the ground. You're nothing but that mousy little girl who stammered and fainted. Your father saw how weak you were. Why he allowed you to live when your sister was obviously better than you is beyond me. Sakura taunted as she kicked Hinata again. I think I'll even let Naruto watch as I enhance your body with Lord Orochimaru's seals and the forbidden ancient technology. Sakura pulled out a kunai. Snip here, there. I have gained so much since I swore allegiance to Lord Orochimaru, and now, I'll gain more when I kill you whore. Sasuke walked around the battlefield slashing those who crossed his path with his angry red mechadisciple. I am a god amongst men. I have avenged my clan, Itachi is and I am all powerful. He slashed left and right King Konoha Nin and his own army as well, laughing like mad. None can stand before me. His eyes drifted back outside the walls where he saw the summoned creatures battling. I must test myself. God has come to Konoha. He yelled and leapt back outside the walls. Orochimaru had managed to perform a switch and a poor sound Nin just got turned to paste by Jiraiya's Rasengan. Orochimaru knelt on the ground gasping for breath. Damn them, I can't deal with both of them. The snake Sannin thought as he rolled out of the way from a Sunid sledgehammer blow that left yet another crater in the ground. The 3 Sannin were standing in a pyramid formation. All 3 were sucking up air as they had been going non-stop for some time. Not as young as we used to be, hey Oro team. Jiraiya said with his hands on his knees. Orochimaru wanted to deny it, even with the body switching he'd done, but while the body was young, it wasn't his own and he burned through its reserves quickly. I guess so. He finally admitted out loud, shocking his former teammates. Wars are for the young and foolish. Sunid said, sweat rolling down her face. I may look young and beautiful, but I admit I want nothing more than warm sake right now. The 3 former teammates shared a real chuckle for the first time in decades. They looked at one another when they heard a roar and turned to see Sasuke slay the 3 boss summons, sending them back to where they came from with swipes of his energy blade. Your apprentice is out of control, Oro team. Jiraiya said, watching as the Uchiha landed with his back to them. Orochimaru was thinking the same thing. Do I have to kill him now? It's too soon. He thought, watching as Sasuke turned to look at the 3 Sannin. He's gone insane. Orochimaru noticed. Sasuke, come, we can finish off Sunid and Jiraiya and then, Orochimaru was saying, but Sasuke leapt at him and Orochimaru managed to use a mud clone and reappear on the other side of Sunid, his eyes wide. Sasuke laughed. I prefer to K all three of the Sannin. I am god of this battlefield. I Ked Itachi and gained the ultimate power, and I Ked the legendary summons. Now, I K myself the Sannin. Sasuke said, turning around, his Sharingan eyes blazing with madness. You've got to be sting me. Jiraiya said, sharing a look with his fellow Sannin. You are no match for our flames of youth. Guy shouted as he and Lee worked on forcing the powerhouse of the Marauders back. Lee used his sensei as a springboard to deliver a diving missile kick, but Buster was surprisingly agile in short bursts and he sidestepped Lee's attack and grabbing the taijutsu user around the head with a massive hand he spun and drove Lee into the ground hard. Lee! Guy shouted and peppered Buster's rock-hard chest with a variety of strikes. Around the battlefield, Tenten and Neji saw their lover fall and they increased their attacks. What's the matter, Sheila? You got something going on with the eyebrow freak. Javelin taunted, creating another chakra javelin and tossing it only to see Tenten not there. He gasped as she reappeared right in front of him, her Pantera claws buried into his chest. Lee is not a freak, you mutated bastard. The weapons mistress snarled as she twisted the claws and carved deeper into the experiment of Orochimaru's, ending his life with a savage jerk. Flicking her wrist, she saw Neji still fighting with Shockwave and was torn on who to help. Check on Lee. Neji ordered, seeing her dilemma. Tenten nodded and rushed towards where Lee lay unmoving. She got there and using the medical SKS she'd learned under Lady Sunid that all teams were required to learn, she sighed in relief that he was alive. Bring him over here. Tenten saw Choji guarding Iruka, who was now conscious, but looked to be out of it from blood loss. Dragging Lee across the battlefield, she found Choji holding off the savage marauder, beast who couldn't get past the Akamaki's bojutsu. Tenten began field medicine as she used a minor chakra jutsu to slice Iruka, and she checked Lee once more before she pulled out several kunai and leapt high over Choji. Bad doggy. Sit, she yelled as she turned the feral marauder into a pincushion, her last explosive tag tied to a curved dagger she rammed into Beast's shoulders, just out of reach. She kicked back hard and Choji wound up and swinging with his considerable strength hit Beast, sending him into the air where he exploded, meaty chunks raining down. Thanks, Choji panted, taking a moment to lean against his staff. What are friends for? She said, and her eyes were scanning the battlefield, noticing everyone was spread out. Can you get him to the hospital? Tenten asked. Choji looked at her and nodded. His hands moved and he called out his family's jutsu. Expansion jutsu. Choji doubled in size and he slung Lee and Iruka over his shoulder. Go. Tenten ordered, seeing Kankuro go down in flames as flare burned through the last of his puppets. The weapons mistress of Konoha returned to the battle, hoping that she could save another friend and ally. Temari managed to get a bit of distance and her battle fan sent a wave of destruction at Undertow, who had the same idea, conjured a ball of water in the air and sent it at the Suna Nin. Both attacks slammed together in the air and Temari was buffeted by her own wind while Undertow was drenched in water, getting the marauder to smile even more. Gaara and Crystal were locked in a slock, both were wearing down, and as much as the marauder would crystallize the sand, Gaara would break it down and reform his attacks. The Kazekage of Suna was getting mad, and when someone like Gaara got mad, it was best to be elsewhere. Shikamaru and Ino had gotten back to back and switched opponents. Wraith stood no chance as Ino took over his body and used him to help Asuma attack Lady Genjutsu. Shikamaru meanwhile with Scalpel had him in a shadow bind and was bringing the Marauder's own Sly Chakra Scalpel to his end. Man, you were way too troublesome for Ino. He said, and with emotion, Scalpel s his own N. Asuma with the Ino-possessed Wraith soon knocked out Lady Genjutsu and bound and gagged her. Why not K her, Asuma-sensei? Ino's voice sounded strange coming from the nearly transparent body of Wraith. Interrogation. Out of all these so-called marauders, she's most likely to give a Biki answers later on. Asuma said, wishing he had a cigarette as he grabbed his knives. What are going to do with this one? He asked Ino. I'm not sure. I've been looking at his memories, but there isn't much that can K him when he's phasing, as he calls it. The eyes got a far-away look. Asuma-sensei, do have any explosive tags? Ino Wraith asked. Yeah. He pulled one out and was surprised as Ino charged it with Wraith's chakra and then was shocked even more when she put it in the marauder's mouth and swallowed it. See you soon, sensei. She chirped and put Wraith's hands, release. And Wraith slumped. Across the battlefield, Ino sat up gasping for air. Damn, it feels good to be in my own body again. She looked and watched as Wraith gathered his thoughts and tried to figure out what happened to him. Asuma smiled. Time to say bye-bye, freak. Wraith looked at him wondering what he meant, then the exploding tag went off in the nin's body and Wraith felt for the first time in his life a moment of pain before his insides became his outside and he's in a blaze of gory mess. Asuma stepped back and looked down at his blood and gut spattered vest. I'm getting too old for this he muttered as he went to help Guy and Lee. Tenten reached Kankuro's side and the puppet master had managed to fall to the ground and rolled around smothering the flames, but the damage had been done and he was out of the fight. Tenten wasted no time as she launched a barrage of shuriken at the marauder flare, who laughed and superheated the air before him and melted the throwing stars long before they reached him. Tenten was airborne and as she spun launched a kunai barrage, which sadly met the same fate as her shuriken. Flare yelled and sent a wave of fire at Tenten who dove out of the way seconds after landing. She sent several senbon needles at him, and like the previous two attacks met the heated air and melted. Tenten noticed the dirt was starting to scorch. Grand fireball. The 6-foot round ball of flame raced towards her and she leapt high in the air to avoid it. Why do I keep getting myself into these situations? I swear since hooking up with Lee and Neji romantically, my impulses have become as bad as theirs. Guy was trying hard to push Buster away from his downed student. You shall not triumph. Guy yelled as he went for a jump kick, only to be slammed to the ground by an overhand-fisted strike from the powerhouse marauder. Guy rolled and saw Asuma coming his way, but he was quite some distance away. His dark eyes turned and saw the marauder making his way towards where Lee was being carried away by Choji, and Guy knew he had to stop the monster. I hate doing this, but you must be stopped or your unyouthful fires shall burn Konoha and all those I consider my precious people harm. Gate of opening, Guy yelled as he leapt to his feet and attacked Buster once again. The powerhouse absorbed the blows and sent some of his own. Guy skidded backwards and wiped the blood from his chin from the blow. A most tiresome opponent. I shall stop you, Guy said and formed the next seal. Gate of rest. The second gate opened and Guy attacked once more. The blows he rained onto the powerhouse were earth-shaking as Guy was giving everything he had to stop the man-mountain of power. His ability to absorb the force of the blows Guy was raining on him was just making him stronger, and Buster caught the taijutsu specialist and raised him over his head, brought him down over his knee. The resounding crack sounded all over Konoha along with Guy's scream as Buster shattered his spine, before tossing him aside like a rag doll. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.